to today's review, which is obviously about Black Widow. I'm so excited. I love this cup so much. It's been ages since I was able to get a cup at the cinema. They actually had them for Fast and Furious 9, but they didn't promote them online until the day after they released. And it's not my instinct to go to the snack bar. I typically try to avoid getting food and drinks at the snack bar. So I didn't know about it till afterwards. And now Black Widow's out, so they're not doing those cups anymore. So I didn't get a fancy cup that has grills on the top when they spin. But anyway, that's not what today's video is about. So how about I just shut my trap and get into the emotional depths of what is now my favorite film of 2021. Black Widow is a 2021 American superhero film directed by Kate Shortland with a screenplay by Eric Pearson from a story by Jack Schaefer and Ned Benson. It's based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name and is the 24th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Set after Captain America Civil War, the film sees Romanoff on the run, forced to confront her past. I'm gonna try and give this review without getting emotional, but I really don't think that I can. The last time Marvel got me like this was Avengers Endgame, and for a completely different reason. Endgame was sad because it was a goodbye to so many characters we have formed attachments to. For some of us, they were our informative years, or they were there during crucial moments in our life, and having to lose them was sad and monumental. I'm so emotional about Black Widow because it's the female superhero movie I've waited all my life for. While I think most of us can agree Black Widow should have been the first female standalone film in the MCU and we should have had this years ago, at the same time, I'm not mad because this was so perfect for her. It managed to give even more weight to Endgame, which I didn't think was possible, and it opens up so much potential for the future of the MCU, and I'm beyond grateful for that. I haven't sat around desperate for more Marvel films, and I've watched at least WandaVision, and I'm now finally watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so it hasn't been that long since I saw the Marvel opening theme, and yet as soon as it played on the big screen, I started crying, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I kind of didn't stop. This film was more than I ever expected or even hoped it would be. For some women, the film that spoke to them was Wonder Woman, which is a brilliant movie, and as much as I adore it, and even though the sequel is flawed, I love that too. Wonder Woman never spoke to me as a woman on a deep level. There's nothing that hit home for me outside of her warmth and gentility and compassion, which I love and appreciate, and I'm so thrilled we got because we needed it. Then we had Captain Marvel, and for some women, she's the superhero that spoke to them, but for me, I thought she was just okay. For me, she and her film lacked emotional depth, there wasn't anything relatable, it felt kind of hollow for me. And while it didn't inaccurately depict sexism, the way it did it felt too on the nose or too hollow for even me to take seriously. This film, on the other hand, spoke so deeply to me, moved me every chance it could, empowered me, and felt like it spoke to so many different causes and issues that I care about, and it did it effortlessly. It was poignant and making a point while staying true to the story it was telling, using the character Black Widow, using her origins, her background to tell a story that is bigger than just her, and I'm still reeling from the experience. Natasha Romanoff is a character who we have always known has a dark past. She has done terrible things, and up until now, no one and nothing has really wanted to show that and be honest about it, because they want to show her as the good guy, the hero, and heroes can't do bad things. This film isn't really about heroes and villains. It doesn't shy away from the bad things Natasha has done. It puts them out for all to see, and she talks about them openly, but we see her guilt, her shame, and her remorse. She has a conscience. We can be upset that she made terrible choices, and she has to live with that, but we can also have compassion and sympathy for her because she grew up in a world where she was trained and programmed to be that way. She was trained to not see a choice. Now she sees she has a choice, she was given a second chance, and now she wants others to have that second chance. She's trying to stop other women and girls from meeting her fate, and in doing so, she's healing a part of herself and accepting and coming to terms with a part of herself she wanted to detach from. This isn't just an origin story, this is a redemption story, a healing and a farewell, and it also sees new beginnings. It's the whole package. This film, without really trying, speaks on so many issues and causes that are close to my heart. It does so in a way that is subtle, so it's not offensive, and it does it by relating to Black Widow's origins. I can look at this film and for me it subverts expectations. You can have female superheroes and you can show so many different facets of women because we're more than one thing, which is why we need more of these films. This film, I feel, chose to have a message that is not like any of the others. It, for me, is in tone with Captain America Winter Soldier and Civil War in the sense that it feels like more of an espionage spy action film, which is fitting of the Black Widow character. But because it's those things while having something to say, it for me felt completely different to anything we've had in the MCU before. I watched this and I could see moments that reminded me of the realities of human trafficking, child trafficking, countries around the world that still treat women and young girls as property and not human beings. Watching children be moved around in cargo holds, taken from family and forced into a life they didn't choose, where their bodies are not their own. How can I not be reminded that take away the global trained assassin spies aspect and it's not a fiction story? These are real things. These things do happen and are still happening. Sometimes the film mentions something serious and chooses to do so through sarcasm or levity, and in some cases that can diminish intent, but in this it doesn't. In this case, it's how to talk about something serious and uncomfortable in a way that's going to be received easier. Age of Ultron established that Black Widows, when they graduate, are forced to go through a hysterectomy. They have no ovaries, no uterus, they can't have periods, they can't have children. They are denied body autonomy, and we see for Natasha and Yelena that it's something they have to accept, but they're still mad this was done to them. Mad that they were not given a say or choice over their own bodies, and again, it's real. Women today all over the world are still fighting for body autonomy, and just because Yelena describes what they went through in a funny way didn't make it less impactful. It actually allowed her to describe something very graphic and disturbing without it coming across as gross or crass. In this film, we see a lot of women who are or were at the mercy of a dominating man or regime, and that's a global issue many can understand, and in this we get to see these characters fighting back, not just for them, but for everyone. Natasha is trying to right wrongs, the crimes she committed and the sister she abandoned, and my god did Scarlett give a tremendous performance. We got to see Natasha in a way we haven't seen her in years, see her as more than just a fighter, but someone who endures and someone who can strategize. Yelena is trying to find her place. Florence Pugh is a fantastic addition to the MCU, and I'm dying to see what more she brings. Her character obviously will take on the Black Widow mantle, but she's not a carbon copy of Natasha. Yelena is more jovial, she's witty, and she wears her heart on her sleeve. Unlike Natasha, she had memories of a happy life, and they made her have a softer side. She's still trying to come to terms with her past and what was done to her, and she's much closer to the other widows than Natasha was, so I can see her almost being a leader for them. This film shows her sweetness, but we see she's a fighter, and we're told she's the best child assassin and killer there ever was, and we're going to see more of that, I can tell. I'm dying to see Hawkeye now, which previously I had zero interest in, but I think we're going to see a bit more of Yelena's darker side through Hawkeye, and it's going to be a brutal conversation when she and Clint will inevitably talk about Natasha's death because she's someone they both loved. I love how this film showed us a different type of family dynamic. It's unconventional, it's built on lies and deceit, and there is drama and a toxic past, but from it was born love and what became a real family, bonding through pain and suffering. I wish we had seen Rachel Weisz do more fighting as Melina. I still loved her in this maternal role. She's very complex, and on one hand, she excuses and justifies what she's done and how she let others go through the same hell she went through, even two girls she grew to love as children she'd never have. But again, we see this as a woman who has been in that system for so long. She mentions how many times she had to go through all that programming. So again, you can hate her choices, but you can see where for her she didn't have choices, and now she's given them. I do hope we get to see her again because I really enjoyed her. The vest she wore in Infinity War was Yelena's vest. It's now as though in those films she was carrying pieces of her family with her, and I freaking love it so much. Though the eye makeup on Vice was just cruel. David Harbour is Alexei, aka Red Guardian. He's fun, and he has some good moments where we see he has a genuine softness that he masks with bravado, because with his training, softness is a weakness. It's not allowed, it's not okay. So he tries to be dismissive, and then he realizes there's no point. Russia and Dreykov did nothing but fuck him over. Meanwhile, this little family he has done more for him than anyone ever has, so why deny those emotions? I don't think he was given as much of a chance to show off his skills. Again, it is Natasha's story, so it's not that bad, but I'd have still loved that, but there's always a chance we may see more of him in the future. Everything in this film made me appreciate Natasha's journey. It gave even more emotional weight to her actions in Endgame, and it makes me so excited for the future of the MCU. I think back on Endgame and I think, what if Yelena and Melina and Alexei, or even just Yelena, what if they were victims of the snap? What if Natasha's choice to sacrifice herself wasn't just to save the world, but to bring back her family, the little family no one knew about? We saw her crying in Endgame about everything lost, and I can't help but think, did she lose more than we even knew? I mean, I'm sure those questions will be answered soon if they haven't already in some interview I've never seen. In Black Widow, we see how willing Natasha is to suffer and endure injury, even do it to herself for the greater good. So watching that again, thinking of Endgame, I now go, of course it was her to make that sacrifice. It's who she is. I also think with Natasha working to collect the names and details of every Black Widow worldwide, and no doubt Yelena being involved in helping them, I wonder if in the future we'll see another epic-sized battle, but this time we'll see an army of Black Widows coming as reinforcements. I'm not saying it will happen, but because of this film, I can see it being a possibility. Because of this film, I can see this image of a sea of strong women being called upon to help save the day, something I never considered a possibility in the MCU. Numbers far greater than that little female group we got in Endgame, and another level on top of the Dora Milaje, which was still cool, but picturing this in my head made my heart swell and jump for joy. I've been dying to see this film, but I had no idea when I sat down to watch it how important this film would become to me, how much it would mean to me. It's been a while since a film hit me like this. It's been a while since I walked away feeling empowered, feeling like giving my support and praise of a film was helping to send a strong message. I don't invalidate any woman who looks at Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, or even Harley Quinn and sees in them the heroes they need, but for me, this was that film. This film meant and means more than I ever thought it could, and I'm so grateful we got it, and now that we do, I want to see this carried on. It's a lot of pressure on Florence's shoulders, but I think she can do it. I think the Black Widow name is in good hands, and I'm so excited for the future of the MCU. Okay, I got to the end without crying, but I did nearly lose it a couple of times that I was like, I could like feel the emotion welling up in my throat just thinking about it. Like, it got to the point, like, aside from preparing this review, which took 12 hours because I wanted to make sure I was getting across what I wanted to say, and also because every time I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say, I started crying. But even just on the bus ride home from the movie, I'm sitting there, mask on, so that helped, and I just started thinking about it and thinking about certain things and thinking about things that Natasha did in Endgame and how this film gave that more meaning, and so I started welling up on the bus and I'm like, no, don't cry in public, don't cry in public. Oh no. Yeah, the only other time I was this bad was Endgame, of which I cried for like 3 days. I've completely lost my train of thought because my mum has just decided at this moment to vacuum, and I've just yelled at her because I literally just said, I'm going to record my Black Widow review. She's like, okay. So she's like, yeah, now's a good time to start vacuuming. So I just yelled, I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, sorry. She's like, God, I can't even vacuum. I'm like, 15 minutes of your time was not going to kill you. Anyway, that's it for today's review. Obviously, you know, so many people have seen Black Widow by now. I was meant to have seen it 2-3 days ago, but I fucked up and I missed it. So that is why this is just a tad on the late side. So nobody else cares, but I care. I'm very frustrated with this fact. So if you've probably seen it by now, then comment down below, share your thoughts on it. I don't do rankings of the MCU on my channel because so many films come out. I'd be doing a ranking every couple of months, and that I don't like doing that. So if you want to know I'll just say this. There will be a screenshot at the end of this video of technically where I have things ranked for now, from best to worst. Keep in mind, there's not a single film in the MCU that I hate, so it's just from love the most to like the least. But I'll put up a picture of that at the end of this video so you can see it and you know where Black Widow sits for me. But that's it for this video. I hope everybody is doing well. There is fog coming out of my mouth. That is how cold it is in this room. So I'm gonna go try not to die. Everybody stay safe, stay happy, watch lots of movies, and I hope to see you in my next video. So until then, bye!